Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com with a weekly Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining either live or if you're catching it afterwards. So each and every week I answer questions from our Patreons and our YouTube channel members. So a big thank you to all of their support. It's what makes this show keep happening each and every week. And it's one of my favorite things I love to do each week. Get to answer your questions. We've got lots of different ones to go through today. So they've been able to submit questions in advance. So we've got lots of that. Plus also YouTube channel members can join in on the fun with the live chats. You can see we've got a few people in here already. We've got Caleb, Miles, Susuna. We've also got Keenan, Babak, and Barbara Trolling. So big hello and welcome to all of you. You can also use the super chat function as well to send it in a question, and all of that makes a massive difference to the support of the channel and everything. So big thank you to everyone, and also just a big thank you to everyone for subscribing. We just hit 70,000 subscribers this week, so that is a big milestone. Onwards to 100k. I cannot stress enough, I so desperately want that 100,000 subscriber badge. It is something I've been doing YouTube for over 10 years. I've been doing this channel. This channel I think was just turned 8, but the What's on Disney Plus version of it's been around for just over six years. I literally did the start of the YouTube channel at the exact same time the website. YouTube has been a massive part of that. So yeah, so just keep hitting that subscribe button. If you've got anyone that's a friend or anything, make sure you subscribe. Going to make a big difference. As I said, that's just something I would just one day, that was definitely a big thing for me. So nevertheless, let's jump into the question. So first off, let's do the one at the very top of the headline of what the title of the show is. It is, Caleb asked, Disney XD on YouTube recently got rebranded to Disney Channel, and while the OG channel got rebranded to Disney Channel Animation, is consolidation inevitable? So, yes, I think ultimately Disney XD to me has been a brand that has been dying for years. It has been a brand that, if you look on social media, even Disney doesn't really use it very much. The channel only really exists really as a way of doing repeats. There's not been any Disney XD original shows for a long time. The channel is effectively just a zombie channel showing repeats. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with having some linear channels that are just repeats, because linear customers are still paying for service, and it gives them choice, and it gives, I don't see a reason why, if you're going to have linear, why not have a few extra channels of bonus ones that you can just do scheduling and just put different shows in there, because not everyone wants to use a DVR and not everyone's on streaming, so it makes sense to be there. However, I do think that Disney XD as a channel is much more likely to be removed in the next round or two from some of the carriage deals, as they all look to kind of streamline what they're offering. The fact that the YouTube channels have changed definitely says to me that this Disney XD is just something that they're just going to continue with. It's just going to be a linear leftover channel. It doesn't really mean a huge amount anymore. It hasn't really mean anything for a long time. Freeform has been one that kind of feels very similar to it, but like Disney XD, it does feel to me like it's a bit of a dead channel. And while it does have some recognition for some families and some people, I'm not convinced it's really a brand that's going to be around much longer. When I asked you guys what you thought. 62% of you think yes, 38% of you think no, that Disney XD will continue. Now, whether or not it's just a hub on Disney Plus, I don't know. I just feel like at some point in the future, Disney XD will cease to exist. So there we go. Let's just look at some of the comments regarding Disney XD. Kelly said that I proposed the idea of having XD as a prime time late night slot on Disney Channel because I want to know, our kids watching TV after 8 p.m. Sunday to Thursday could give the 9 p.m. slot to XD. I mean, you could turn it into a slot, like you say, putting older stuff on there. You could maybe do some older, or just put those shows on that might appeal to older audiences, adults and stuff, put on, I don't know, Spider-Man or something like that. Put something on there that, adults might want to watch rather than kids, as you said. Who's going to be around there? I don't know, it just seems like a bit of a weird one. Nicktoons has SpongeBob SquarePants. Kellogg said they could use the XD block to cross-promote Disney Plus and Hulu, since Disney Plus say they're linear complement to their streaming. Yeah, that would make sense. Let's just see what we've got here. Okay, it also said Disney XD being phased out from its current form. However, I hope they could pivot to a prime time slot. I just think the channel is just. I think the concept of Disney XD just doesn't really help. Babak says I think they'll continue, but it will shift the focus of Disney Plus and eventually close down the physical media. Babak also added, I think Freeform needs to go and they'll just use the Hulu branding and rebrand it. I don't have a problem with Freeform just becoming a repeat channel and using some of the Hulu stuff, and it makes sense if they're offering a linear channel, you might as well put something on there. So why not run some of those Hulu shows on there that they could do? Also, thank you so much for your super chat, Miles. Thank you for your continued support. Really does mean a huge amount to me. Thank you so much. Who do you think could appear as a guest star during season 14 of King of the Hill, which debuts in August exclusively on Hulu and Disney Plus? So yeah, King of the Hill does have a very good history of guest stars. So I mean, I would probably say I would keep it pretty safe right now. I would say anyone that's kind of within the Disney bundle, like bubble, Pedro Pascal, I don't know who else could be in there. I just generally have a feeling of anyone that's kind of doing any big Marvel, Star Wars, 20th century, anything that from them, they can easily jump over and do it. Maybe fans of the show. That would make more sense to me rather than kind of going out and grabbing people maybe outside of it. Unless, of course, the creators have got a few people in line of like who they could bring in. But yeah, it's kind of weird because I haven't watched King of the Hill since it stopped airing. I remember watching it for a few years. I'm not sure if I even saw the last few seasons. I kind of drifted off from it. So I definitely remember it being part of like that era of animation that was great for adults. I'm going to give it a go when it comes back. It'll be interesting to see how all that works and whether or not putting him in today's modern life and how all that comes in. I think that could be very interesting. Very interesting. But again, thank you so much. And let me know in the comments, who do you think could appear? Who could appear? So soon as says, what will be the future for Disney XD? I think it's dead. I think it's going to be gone within a few years myself. I just don't see it. I just don't see a reason for it anymore. I know the Disney Junior could be a block on Monday to Friday on the Disney Channel, but I know the standalone channel would last a bit longer since it's more popular with preschool kids. Yeah, I think Disney Junior's got the best chance of staying around because those are going to have people watching it. And I do think having some kids channels, like one for like above preschool and one for below preschool, makes sense to have while kids are still watching it. However, most kids aren't watching linear television. But I still think the Disney Channel is one that probably will continue on until they I think the Disney Channel will probably stay on until they completely leave linear. I think there'll be a couple of main corporate. I think they're going to have Disney Channel, Nat Geo, FX, and ABC. Those are going to be the core linear channels moving forward. Okay. Dana says, what franchise should Disney look to acquire? Now, just from my point of view, I wouldn't mind them acquiring Warhammer so we can get some decent animation because what we've had so far are very limited. And I think that would be nice. That would be nice for me, personally. I know a lot of people wouldn't like it, but I like it. Hasbro could be quite an interesting. I don't not necessarily say that is a franchise, but if they could acquire Hasbro and they could bring all their action figure and toy stuff in line, and also get access to Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. I don't know if My Little Pony comes under that as well. So to me, Hasbro gives them benefit of having a lot of merchandise and also a way of being able to make stuff and sell it, but also quite a few little franchises there that would be quite nice. I don't know if Nickelodeon could be quite a nice little pickup for them. That could be a boost for their kids division and stuff. I mean, whether or not Paramount will sell it, I don't know. I don't think of franchises. The trouble is with franchises, and this is something I'm very much aware of, in some way, there's not a lot of point in them acquiring things like DC or Lord of the Rings or those kind of things because or James Bond or anything like that, because there's not that long really left until some of those characters end up going into public domain. So, do they? We're only about 15 years from Batman and Superman. Disney could make a Batman and Superman cartoon in 10 years' time. So that could be very interesting to see what happens there. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how all that comes together. So let me know what franchises you'd like to see picked up. Kayla says, after the first 2 weeks, the Thunderbolts box office has slowed significantly. Why is that the case, despite positive critics and audience reviews? I don't think the critics' reviews have a huge thing on it. I think a lot of people are wary. I think generally, people talking about it. Let me just see what the box office is. So the box office is currently standing at 361. So maybe it might be able to hit 400. I mean, that's where I was thinking, 400-500 was kind of where I was expecting it. These movies are not pulling in enough audience. They're not just the budget they are spending on them is too high. They churned out too many. This movie consists of characters that are B class. These are not main characters. People don't know who most of them are. They are not. If they maybe called it New Avengers from the beginning, it might have stood a chance if they chucked maybe a bigger character in there. The good thing is the fact that Thunderbolts is really good will pay dividends in the long run. Of people that have seen it will be a little bit more inclined to think, oh, Marvel are kind of back on track and delivering some good things. We've got Fantastic Four coming up next month. So Fantastic Four. I'm not expecting it. If it can hit 500 million, that'll be really kind of good. It's not enough for the amount of money that they're spending on these films. But remember, they do make money in other ways from these films. It's not just a one-off and that's it. But I never thought Thunderbolts was $1 billion movie. I don't understand why they were spending people have got bored of Marvel movies. And I think it's going to be really good that from Fantastic Four, we have got a year off of Marvel movies. We've got a few Wonder Man in between there and maybe Daredevil, but those are TV series. People are not tuning into them in the same way. Marvel fatigue is real. Superhero fatigue is real. Marvel needs to dial it back and let people feel like special again. Yeah, definitely needs to feel special again. Kelly also asked, what are your thoughts on the Disney Plus Hulu Perks? There's quite a few questions about that today. I'm glad that Disney Plus Perks is now a constant thing. I was surprised it wasn't already, to be honest, because it's been around for a while. The addition of Hulu Perks just feels a little bit like Disney going, oh, well, we better do something with that because we don't want people to think that we're merging them or letting one go. So we're just going to put that in there. So, yeah, I think some of this as well is a lot of it is just cheap naff stuff that most people aren't really going to care about. There's nothing there really. It's like, oh my God, that is fantastic. That's a really good bonus. They could do stuff that would be really cool, like free shipping at Disney Store, 10% off any booking off of Disney Cruise Line, 10% off any booking at a Disney theme park, 10%, being able to get into the theme parks half an hour early. Do some stuff that actually people will use instead of 15% off Loungefly. Well, that or 10, or was it 10% off Adidas? Well, what's that got? It's I don't know. Give us free, add-on. Give us, I don't know. If they could do a free skin for Marvel Rivals, that would be massively popular. You get a free skin for Fortnite, something for that kind of thing. You could get a special character for Destiny 2 or something like that. Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more meat on the bones for that one. Kelly says, I like the Disney Plus Perks since I used the opportunity to get 6-month free trial of Dash Pass, of DoorDash. Heck, I used it yesterday to order dinner. Yeah, it's amazing how many people use those kind of products. I don't use those kind of things. Even I did actually used to deliver Chinese delivery when I was like 18. Let's see if we've got any other live show. Let's have a look. Bubba Trolling says, do you think that the inside the NBA will stay the same for ESPN? Yeah, because Warner Brothers are making it for ESPN. So that's good. Let's see what else we've got. TNT Sports will continue to produce Inside the NBA for ABC and ESPN. So they have confirmed that one. Thank you so much. That it does mean a lot. It is fantastic to do that. Let's see what we've got here. Just trying to find quits that I've not already done. Matt says, I think the future for cable channels is to consolidate spin-off channels back to the original channels like Disney XD and Disney Junior being consolidated. I think that's probably more likely because also they can cut the costs. And then it's going to be like, well, if you want to watch all the other stuff, it's available on Disney Plus. And that's going to be included in those cable bundles. They can continue on with blocks. That was before Toon Disney and JetMet. Yeah, so there's a couple of different things there. Keenan also says, Caleb's also said, I remember during Dana Walden's interview with CNBC, she mentioned the core linear channels as ABC, FX, Disney Channel, and Nat Geo. That tells me that secondary linear channels are on borrowed time, 100%. Metroid would be a good pickup for 20th century animation if Disney decides to launch a dedicated animation production unit for animated films aimed at adults. Well, let's just say I watched an adult movie, an animated movie from 20th Century Studios that's coming out on Friday, and that's definitely gory. So I think they're going to be leaning in on that a little bit more. Metroid, would Nintendo want to do that? I don't know. I mean, it's a good character to do it. Don't know, but I think more animation from 20th Century would be good. Keenan says, what is the crown next to our names on numbers 1 to 3? This is a good job you brought this up because I have been, because on my software that I'm using now, it's not coming up. But in the corner, I did open up the chat and it's got here like Bubba Trolling is number. So clicking on it. Oh, it's the community leaderboard. So you're all getting XP at the minute. So Bubba Trolling is in number 1. Miles is at number 2. And Keenan, you're at number 3. And yeah, then we've got, I think that's Matt, Sasuna, Caleb, and Babak. And there's like points going on. So, you know, the top 5. So Babak, you're 25 points down on everybody else. I don't know how you get it. I'm guessing that is hearts, maybe super chats. I mean, yeah, try out super chats. See if that gives you more points. That's definitely a thing that I would have pulled up from Chapter Master Valrak. That's what he tends to do. Nevertheless, right, let's jump into it. See what else we've got here. Matt says, Fantastic Four at a test screening, and apparently the general action has been mid, but a lot of VFX wasn't finished, so that could be a factor. Right. So this is very much a something that's been floating around online. And some of the influencers that have been saying about this, I know one of them particularly, I'm in a group chat with him, and apparently someone kind of shouted out mid, one person, and then that's been picked up and spread around the internet like crazy. So one person said it out loud. So one person out of how many people saw it didn't like it or wasn't impressed. That's all it is, one person. So do we want to base our entire movie on what one person who saw it a bit early and didn't see all the special effects? Do we think that that is something that we should follow? No. I'm going to go see Fantastic Four regardless of how bad the reviews are. I like Fantastic Four. I want to see what they're doing. But be wary, especially with some of the Twitter influencers that, especially if they are only ever stirring the pot, getting people raged up, clickbait, rage bait, whatever you want to call it, because the more you engage with them and the more buzz they get, the more money they make. And it gets worse. And there's a lot of scoopers and just, random names just kind of saying crap just to get more engagement, to make more money. And I think we have to be much more involved in just realizing that there's a lot of stuff that gets said on social media, that there's a reason why they are saying this stuff. And some of it is not necessarily in your interest or in the movie's interest. It's in their interests. Bobatronic says, I think Disney should acquire a Moonbug or Cartoon Network. I don't think they'll pick up Cartoon Network. Moonbug, I think there is a very, 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 very good chance that they could end up acquiring Candle Media, which owns Moonbug and Coco Melon, because they are both run by two former guys that one of them created Disney Plus, and I would not be at all surprised if Disney acquired them and then those two became the new CEOs of Disney. So this one, Matt says they could bring back some of the rewards they use for the Disney movie rewards as Disney Plus perks, maybe introduce a point system so subscribers have more of a choice. I think the trouble is they're very much about a case of upselling rather than giving you free stuff. That is definitely, I think, a thing to be aware of. They want to sell you things. So I think giving you, and I think sending you physical merchandise is something that they probably don't want to do. Sending out posters and DVDs, etc. They're kind of moving away from that. It's all like digital free stuff I think they can get hold of. Miles says, could Disney Plus perks to offer discounts for cinema tickets such as Elio's Zootopia 2, etc., etc.? I mean, it would make sense to do that maybe like a month after the movies come out, do a 2-for-1 or something like that. Try and boost up a little bit of excitement. Matt says, do you think there'll be a Family Guy movie? Maybe. It depends if Seth wants to do it, I would imagine. Matt says, I think Nintendo would be much more willing to do projects with Universal rather than Disney, given the Warner Brothers or the Mario Brothers movie and Nintendo attracts to the parks. However, the Zelda movie is with Sony. I think Nintendo will go anywhere. Bubbatronic says, how often does Inside the NBA going to air on ABC? I'm not sure. Not sure how that's going to work. Haley does say it's primarily air on ABC, but it'll be on ESPN. Again, the trouble is with the ESPN stuff is because I don't watch ESPN, a lot of this stuff I've got no idea how those shows work or how those networks work, especially because while I dabble in a little bit of sport, I'm not a huge sports person, so I would say 99% of the ESPN presenters, if I bumped into them, I wouldn't even know who they were. Public says, I heard bad things about Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, and Karate Kid, and all three were great. Some people are just too critical. There is a very much a case of some people just like stirring up. And the thing is, I think like Lilo and Stitch, they changed the ending. I mean, literally, Disney were damned if they did and damned if they didn't. If they didn't change the ending, people would have complained. If they did change the ending, people will complain. No matter what they do, people will complain. Maxie says test screenings are deceasing. There have been films like The Flash, which apparently had incredible test screening reactions, but of course ended up being a huge flop. Yeah, I mean, apparently also, I remember, like, I think it was last year, the Young Woman and the Sea had incredible test results, and so that's why they put it out in cinemas. So it does have an impact on it, and that was a really good film. What do you think about Disney acquiring Cocomelon? Honestly, I'd never even heard of it. A bit like Keenan. I think it was popular. That was it. If kids are watching it, there does seem, and I didn't know about any of this, the amount of comments on the video and on the YouTube and on Facebook kind of highlights the fact there's a lot of people that don't like it. And as I say, the audience that are going to watch this show aren't even born yet. So, there's that kind of thing of, if you don't like, it's that kind of thing like, is it aimed at you? If you're on YouTube doing comments, I don't think these shows are really aimed at people that can do YouTube comments yet. Bit of a weird one. Public says, will Marvel add more movies between the Avengers movie now that they're delayed? No, they haven't got anything to write, and I think they just want to get that. They want to get to that end of the multiverse saga and get this out of there. And I think they have, and after these money, with the way that, if, for example, Fantastic Four only does 500 million, they're going to look at this year where they just released 3 movies, and they were, between the 3 of them, only cracked the billion. They can't continue. They need the movies to be bigger. They need them at like Deadpool and Wolverine level, and unfortunately, these movies just are not there. So I think we're going to see a lot less in the build up to the 2 Avengers movies, and then we might see a soft like ish reboot with more team up releases after that, once a year or maybe twice a year. I wouldn't, since they used the gap to make fans appreciate Marvel. As I say, absence makes the heart go thunder. Yeah, and also it does feel a little bit like Marvel is throwing out everything they've got from Disney Plus this year as well. Keenan says, do you think Disney Plus perks replace Disney movie rewards? No, I think Disney movie rewards was just a project that doesn't need to exist anymore because they don't want to be giving you discs. They don't want more plastic. They don't want to be creating something. They don't want to be shipping something. Disney Plus perks is all about trying to make money and trying to get you to stay subscribed as offering something that's a bonus. Most of those things that they're offering you are promotional deals that would have got paid for, like that DoorDash one or Adidas. Disney will be getting a kickback for that, or they're trying to promote something. It's about making money. Could Disney perks also include fan-only events for theaters like Amazon does with its Prime and movies? They could do, but then the D23 Club does that. That's the end goal since Disney ended their in-house production of physical medias. With at least with perks, we can get discounts on other products. Matt says, Hippo liked it. Negative comments more than, yeah, people do. Also, the algorithm just seems to like them. What's your opinion for the trailers for DreamWorks, Gabby Dollhouse, and Bad Guys 2, which released online? Haven't seen them. So I was like, I didn't even know they come out. Yeah, I didn't even know they came out. That's how bad that is. But yeah. Okay, you know what? I miss getting physical media, but at the end of the day, streaming services took over and it's cheaper than buying movies. I think it's also just, I mean, how often are you using your discs? I have a box full under the stairs, never use them. But we tend to rent. My wife this afternoon, and I have been avoiding this like the plague. My wife has kept asking about, usually on a Sunday afternoon, we'll watch a movie. So we watched the new Predator movie that I needed to watch. So she was floating through. She wanted to watch the new Bridget Jones movie, but it's not available to rent till tomorrow. We ain't paying 15 quid for it. It's just, nah. Yeah, I like a rental for 5 quid. So the Joker 2 was there for $1.99. And for months she's kept saying, and I said, I don't want to watch it. Don't waste the money. She rents it today because she's adamant. It's $1.99 on Apple. It was awful. I literally walked out of it and went and did some work because I was so it was diabolical. And I just kind of went, see, told you I was right. Matt says, could you see Disney do more animated shows? I think they will do because they're a little bit cheaper. Keenan says, I hope Disney can do sub-license select films to release on the Criteria collection for hardcore correct. I just think the trouble is that audience is getting less and less. And Disney movies, do they appeal to that audience? Like, is Elio going to work for them? I do like the idea of if they do put out a movie, put it out as a still book. Maybe just do it as only as a still book. Do a limited run, let it sell out, and kind of turn it into a collectible. How do you think Snow White will do on Disney Plus, Matt? I think it'll do well. I think people will check it out. It will then get a whole load of people going, what was all the fuss about? And then a lot of other people going, well, I didn't spend any money for it. Probably be on Disney Plus later this month. Yeah, I'm guessing it will be on this month. I think that's going to be the big release. When was it out? So Snow White release date was the 21st of March. So days from 21st March, end of June. So yeah, I would imagine it's going to be the end of June for that one. Both Disney and Criterion titles are distributed by Sony and SDS. Then they could add Toy Story. Yeah, they could do if they wanted to. They do have some access to some of the DreamWorks stuff as well. Right, let's jump back into some of the other questions. Let's see who's on the leaderboard. Let's see what's going on. And at number 1, we have Bubba Trolling. Actually, to be fair, I think you're all 8 of you are all on exactly 75 XP. So I don't know what that does, but nevertheless, Bubba Trolling, you're in first place. Miles, you're in second, and Bubba in third place. There we go. Okay, this is after the. Oh no, we did that one. Netflix getting access. This is from Elliot. With Netflix getting access to Sesame Street, will that have an effect on Disney Plus? Not really, because it's already been available on Max. I mean, more kids might watch it. I still have a very question mark over how much Sesame Street is actually watched and how much of it is nostalgia about it from being an adult that think it's popular with kids, or adults putting kids in front of it going, we used to watch this is good for you, and then they're kind of getting bored and then put on Cocomelon. I have a feeling there's an element of, it's a little bit like with the Muppets. Everyone likes the Muppets, everyone remembers the Muppets, but no one watches the Muppets. And I do wonder if the Sesame Street is the same thing. Elio also says, since Snow White didn't do well at the box office, how soon will it come to Disney Plus? I'm guessing 100 days for the end of June. Elio also says, have any networks given their summer lineup for what's coming? Yeah, and Hulu did send one out on Friday, most of which we've already known. Do they need to? I don't know. I find it weird with kind of this whole thing of like summer lineups and stuff. Of, do we need to know other than a couple of weeks out if it's coming to television? Miles says, with a sneak peek of Elio attached to all screenings of Lilo and Stitch in cinemas, do you think the new Pixar film will have a good chance of performing well at the box office? Looks like it's going to come out the gate slow. People keep complaining about there being no marketing, and as I would again keep pointing out, the movie doesn't come out for 3 weeks. The main marketing campaign will probably kick off the week before or the week it comes out. That is when you hit hard. There's this like weird thing of people wanting advertising months and months and years before stuff comes out, and it's just throwing money at nothing at that point. Of, you want to get that, when you want to get out to the mass public, you need to get it out there of going, it's out now, or it's coming out this week. There's no point someone seeing a trailer, a teaser, or a poster for Elio and it being 3 to 6 months away. People don't care. People's attention spans are so much shorter, so much less. And I think we need to, there's one thing putting out a trailer or a poster online that gets a core audience excited. Putting it in front of like Lilo and Stitch is going to have a much bigger impact of getting people ready. The families are going to be sat in there looking at it going, oh, that looks good. We'll go see that. We'll go see that this summer. And Pixar movies have a bit of more legs. They pick up as they move along, as they get released. It could be another Elemental. I'm not expecting Elio to be a $1 billion movie. It's not going to be. But Elio 2 could be, because of it, like with what happens with streaming, etc. That builds up a lot of excitement for new future franchises. There's also, the whole thing as well of people going, I want original, and Disney go, here's an original, and everyone goes, what's that? You have to be able to give these ones a go, and if it's got good word of mouth and friends at school and like family start talking about it, that is where the pickup's going to be. It's not all about that first weekend for these Pixar movies. It's a very different way of doing it. Also, they've got merchandise and stuff like that, and Disney Plus, and there's a lot of other ways they can make money from a movie. It's not just about the opening weekend. It will probably do well, but over a few months, it's going to be the big one, I think, for those summer months. Momo says, when will Disney start marketing Hulu on Disney Plus with their next day cable and broadcast shows like they're currently doing with Hulu Originals? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. They are, I suppose like Grey's Anatomy and stuff, are they doing that? We might see it more when the new fall season starts in September. That might be when they start promoting it more, if it hasn't like merged by then. But yeah, I would imagine they're going to kick that off with the new marketing campaign. Babak says, what do you think of the relaunch of Disney Plus Perks? Will it get rolled out internationally? They have said it's coming out internationally, and as I said, for me personally, I need it to be something that's usable. There's no point having perks that no one wants. Doesn't mean anything. Keenan says, could Disney's throwback 24/7 channel be permanent? I would like it to be. I think all the channels that they keep adding should be permanent and keep being added to. I think they should be adding channels rather than taking them away. But it has shown in the past that they removed them. So I wouldn't like to say they definitely are going to stay there. Elio says, Hulu having a perks program doesn't impact change your mind in any way that Hulu will be folded into Disney Plus sometime, perhaps this year or early next year. I believe it will be temporary. It's a cheap ass promotion. Again, they're getting paid by these companies to put their stuff on there. They ain't doing it out of the love of their hearts. And it is a very cheap system. You know, it's basically going to be a one page on a website. And yeah, the logo, they ain't exactly spending a fortune on the promotion of this stuff. It's there because they can make a little bit of extra money on it. And again, also what it could do is Hulu Perks could become part of the Disney Plus perks for stuff that's a little bit more for adults. They can use that as, again, that little branding difference. Let's see what we've got here. Babak says, why do you think Disney is creating a Hulu Perks if they're eventually going to merge it with Disney Plus and Hulu? Again, making money. They could use it for different branding purposes. That's the way I'll say it. Mama says, with Marvel skipping this year's San Diego Comic-Con and D23 being held next year, do you think Marvel will also skip next year's San Diego Comic-Con? No, in one way, because I think the big focus might be on Spider-Man Brand New Day, because I think that's coming out maybe the week or two after San Diego Comic-Con next year. So Sony might want to be doing something there. They might want to use, but I don't, again, because if they've only got one big movie out, I wouldn't be surprised if they did skip it, because I don't think they're in a place to be. They won't want to show off a lot of stuff for Avengers if they've got D23 coming up just a couple of weeks later. If they do it, that's if D23 happens. Keenan says, if Disney Plus Perks program could be on other streaming services, do the same, or could they? I could think they could do. Seems to be quite a cheap way of doing it. Let's see what we've got in the live chat. Let's see what we've got. Let's see where we got up to. Here we go. Matt says, like Captain America Brave New World just came to Disney Plus, and that was a February movie. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking is going to happen. Barbatron says, what do you think about the future of Discovery and Warner Brothers? I think Discovery is just going to limp on until Warner Brothers doesn't make any money out of it. Okay, big thank you, Matt, for your super chat. Thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. Thank you so much. What is something that Disney can do to help them in streaming? Wow, that's a good one. And let me know in the comments what you guys think. So for me, to get good at streaming, they need to do a number of different things. First off, focus. The linear networks are still making them money. And until they decide that they're going all in on streaming, we're going to get this half-assed approach. They are still lining linear because it's still making them money. And at the end of the day, it would make sense, isn't it? If you're making some money from over here, why would you want to not take it from there? So therefore, that means that they can never fully compete with Amazon and Netflix because they've still got one foot in one branch, one foot in the other. They've also got movies going to cinemas first. Now, I think there is a benefit for them in having movies going to cinema. They've got big shows going on linear and streaming. Just get more people watching, make more money from advertising. That's good. Consolidation. Get these apps down and these channels down so that they can force everybody into one little place. Stop licensing stuff out as well. Let's get over this like short-term bump. Let's get going. Let's get serious. Launch in more countries. Global release dates. Global release times. Start thinking streaming first rather than linear. Linear still has this massive, has it by the cojones, and just they just don't seem to be, because they're obviously still making money from it, and I think that's definitely the big problem. So that's where I think the problem is again being too reliant on linear, and linear is also still dictating to what's happening globally. You know, we don't get all the shows at the same time because linear is doing something that we can't have yet. It's, again, Disney needs to think globally and think like that. Hope that answers it. Let's see what we've got. I do like that Netflix will continue to work with PBS to shorten the windows for new episodes. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Matt says, do you think Lilo & Stitch is a film that Disney might hold off for at least a month longer than most movies, given its success, like Moana took 4 months rather than a typical 3? So again, I go with the idea of 100 days. 100 days seems to be like the minimum, which is about 3 months and a week. And then at that point, as you say, if it's still making money, they hold off. And I think, yeah, I could see 4 months being quite easily a thing that they could do. Alex says, do you think the Muppets will be rebooted or used in the future? I think they are good as a nostalgia trip, but I personally wouldn't mind them doing like a Muppet Babies Disney Junior show, get the young kids interested in them that way. I just don't know if the Muppets work in the 21st century. Not with the current way that they've tried multiple different things. It just doesn't seem to be working. Miles says, on the original theatrical release of Toy Story, which was extended to 2000 and 2005 DVDs, the film has a custom variant of the Walt Disney logos, which is zoomed out. Cool. Matt says, what franchise could Disney reboot? There's probably some that we haven't even thought about. But I am getting to the point where, and 20th century seem to be doing loads of them. It's just like, guys, come on, stop just rehashing stuff. Like, at least commit to 50% new, 50% like franchises. It's just like, can we stop just rebooting everything? Because it never matches the original and it's just a cheap grab and it doesn't really work. Do something original. Stop trying to reboot stuff. I think there's a lot of reboots. Okay, so speaking of marketing, the cast of Fantastic Four was in CCXP Mexico. Reportedly, Vanessa Kirby is expecting. I know her stunt doubles are going to be doing a lot of work while she's filming. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Apparently, Haley Atwell was like 8 months pregnant while filming the new Mission Impossible movie. Okay, so now Elio's release coincides with the school year ending for summer vacation, so it might have a slow growth. Yeah, bingo, 100%. 100% what it is. And also, movies like summer releases also tend to do longer over the summer because, like here in the UK, our kids don't break up until the middle of July. So therefore, they've got July and August just collecting extra money. That's why a lot of the times Disney used to hold back movies for us here in the UK back until July. They don't tend to do that anymore. But yeah, there was a time when they used to hold back movies for our holidays. Matt says, do you think Disney will do more collections like Made in Korea? Yeah, I just think that one's been around for years. They just finally added it in the UK. Miles also added on the 2009 3D release, the logo was plastered all over. Could they add the original opening? I mean, at the end of the day, I think the question is what financial benefit is there for that? Look at it from a business point of view. Is it something that they need to spend money on? If yes, then why would they want to? I don't think it's a high priority for them. Kayla says, I do like Disney Throwback Collection. What I find interesting is for shows like Fresh Prince of Sabrina the Witch are part of it. I think that's all part through the Hulu stuff. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I used to watch that every day after school. I wonder if Hulu Perks will be the same deals as Disney Perks, just in green. Yeah, probably. 100%. Mars says the custom Pixar variant for the Walt Disney logo was used later in the Bug's Life of Ratatouille until they started using the Walt Disney logo. I don't think like I said, I'm not sure they're going to spend any money on that. Matt says, how many bundles do you think we should this have? I think basically Disney Plus and ESPN as a bundle makes sense. I think that's about it. I think they should merge Hulu in and just get it over with. Babak says same day releases with global releases. Yeah, 100%. Matt says, do you think Disney is conflicted about merging Disney Plus and Hulu because they just don't want to risk losing revenue from subscribers surprising to both than to just one service? Yeah, I think there's some of that. But I think there's also a lot of benefits. They could save a lot of money on advertising. They can save a lot of money on marketing. They can save a lot of money on staff. They can save money on servers. And everything that if you look at like what they've been doing, of Disney Plus is becoming more and more like Hulu because we've got the ads, they're bundled. Now every logo and poster says now at Hulu on Disney Plus. Everything is promoting Hulu on Disney Plus. They are pushing it a lot. And this is all part of the slow boil to get people so used to seeing it that when they eventually pull the trigger, everyone's just going to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They are going to reduce. They're going to drastically reduce that shock factor when it finally happens. Now, I do think Hulu will continue to be the hub within there, and they're going to use that for years. And they're going to use a bit like what they've started to do in again, what they've started to do in Canada is they're starting to use the Hulu brand on the originals there as a way of keeping it separate, a little bit like what they used to do with Star, until everyone gets so used to it. But obviously, the Hulu brand has some benefits to it. But yeah, I think they have done everything they possibly can. The fact that ESPN flagship is going to be built into Disney Plus says to me that that's what they're looking at. And it just, there's so many like synergy costs in getting rid of it. Why doesn't Disney have the back catalog content for curated playlists? I think, again, it all comes down to keeping it separate still. Matt says, seems like a lot of shows are getting cancelled, not given enough chance. What are your thoughts? That happens a lot. I mean, but it always has happened. That's been like that for decades. It's just now it gets more attention because of social media. They are pulling the plug much quicker. There's hardly any shows compared to what they used to make. But we're also kind of at a tail end of, there was so much stuff being made during the pandemic and during the streaming boom that now things are stabilizing. And so therefore we've kind of seen a lot of the chaff get cancelled because it wasn't making enough money, wasn't getting enough viewers. Cancellations have always happened. And at the end of the day, they cancel stuff because it's not making them money or not getting enough viewers. Again, which likely means that's not making enough money. And I think people just need to understand that. The shows used to get cancelled before streaming used to happen. It's just we never really knew about it. Babak says, I think Disney should make more shorts of their franchises like Cars, Zootopia Plus. I think, to be honest, I don't think they're really that bothered about them because I don't think they are generating anything. They are probably expensive to make with very little upside. Matt says, do you think we're going to get a major overhaul when ESPN Plus launches? The ESPN, I think so. I think that's a good time to do it. Keenan says, does the UK have more breaks or holidays for students than in the UK? Like you said, the UK students don't get out of school till July. It's very different. I think you guys get a longer summer. I believe is that you do get like 3 months off. We only tend to have like a 6-week break, but we have like half terms. So like this week, the kids have been off school in the UK this week. And so they went back. They had 2 or 3 weeks off for Easter. And then they went back and then they do like halfway point. They don't have a week off. And then the big thing is that the July break was primarily done during the war to help the kids do the harvest. So that's not really much use anymore. There's been a lot of pressure on governments to reduce the 6 weeks holiday to less because it's not good for the kids, but also more importantly, it's not good for employers. With more parents having to work, it doesn't really suit the way that they do it now. Yeah. So yes, it's not really something. I think it's just a cultural difference. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what we've got here. Miles says, could Walt Disney Animation Studios reopen its Florida studio as Disney Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney if their new CEO decides to start making 2D animation? Probably not. I don't think they're going to do anything like that in Florida. Babak says it makes sense that Disney is skipping San Diego Comic-Con because they don't have anything new to present other than some trailers and sneak peeks. The problem is, I think, for San Diego Comic-Con is if they turned up, say they turned up in 3 weeks in next month and did that, what are they going to show us? Eyes of Wakanda, maybe a little sneak peek of Daredevil, but that's like 6 months out. A little clip of Wonder Man, but that's not out till December. And Marvel Zombies. Okay, I don't think the audience really is probably going to be interested in probably most of that, other than like Wonder Man and Daredevil. People are going to be underwhelmed because he's not turning up doing a big reveal. They don't want to be telling us stuff about Avengers Doomsday. It's too early. The movie's 18 months away. Too early to say anything. Spider-Man's not ready yet. So it's a bit like they've got nothing to say. So why bother turning up? And why spend a load of money flying people in? It costs millions for them to put that show on. There's nothing for them to do. And I think the biggest problem is people will be underwhelmed. We ain't going to get that big display with that big wall of names and movies. They ain't never going to do that again. I don't think, because they got burned. That 2019 panel has burned them. That stuck them on a path that they could not keep up with, and we are going to see a massive change moving forward in that. Ricardo says, is there any possibility that movies and shows that were removed from Disney Plus could appear on other streaming services like Netflix and Prime? More likely, anything that's not got a Disney, Marvel, or Star Wars brand. I think anything that's got Disney in it, probably less likely. Bobbuck says, what other perks do you think would be more valuable to add? I think free shipping or discounted shipping for Shop Disney, freebies like free cinema tickets, free pins, free Lorcana cards, that kind of thing, or discounted or exclusive one that you can only buy through them, and that's only available for them. Discounts off theme park tickets, discounts off their resorts, discounts off their cruise, but make it usable. Make it so anyone can get a discount. So no matter who you're using, you go, oh, I'll use that discount and get 10% off or 5% off. Make it so that it's stuff that we use. Do video games, like I said earlier, Fortnite skins, Destiny 2 skins, rival skins, that kind of stuff. Do a little bit of fun with it. Mama says, with the slow changes that Disney is doing to Disney Plus, what do you think Disney Plus will look like by the end of the year? I think it's going to look very different. We're seeing lots of little changes coming in for sure. Keenan says, what would have happened if we would have gotten a Moana TV series and Lilo and Stitch as Disney Plus originals instead of them in theaters? They wouldn't have made any money. I mean, Moana 2 made $1 billion, and Lilo and Stitch is already halfway there. So yeah, it just makes more sense. Mara says, what are your thoughts on the newly opened Epic Universe theme park with its innovative attractions and its experiences? Do you believe it has the potential to rival Walt Disney World and reshape the competitive landscape of theme parks in Florida? 100%. Whenever I go back to Orlando, I want to go to Epic. And obviously, one extra theme park could take away some of the shine from Disney. Now, Disney are going to probably end up getting a little bit of a boost this year or the next year or so, because people are going to be going down to Florida and they're going to visit Epic, and they're probably going to visit Disney as well. I always have thought of, going to, Universal Studios was very much like, that was part of going to Florida. We always went to Universal and Disney. The two are, for most of us coming out from outside the country, going to Florida was both. It was never a case of and or. Some people, I think there's a difference of Americans go there maybe for a long weekend or a few days, whereas Brits tend to go for a week or two, maybe even 3 weeks. So we have a bit more time. So for me, it doesn't necessarily mean I'll spend less time in Disney, but it does encourage me maybe to be like, how many days do I want at Universal? How many days do I want at Disney? It's going to crack into, I think we were talking about, but I think we've decided not to bother next year now. We were like, well, if we do Universal, if there's Epic, we have to drop a day from somewhere. So where do you drop it? So we were thinking we might have dropped a water park. We might not have gone to like Blizzard Beach. So there's that problem. Not necessarily doing any less time in Disney, but we were going to cut a day off there. We would be maybe less inclined to, we don't tend to do SeaWorld but also there's a whole other element of Epic and Universal are making Disney having to do more. They're going to have to up their game. At the minute, they're spending a lot of money on, obviously, the cruise ships. We've just had the announcement of Abu Dhabi, which obviously is going to help and bring in extra revenue. But I think the big problem is not just the pandemic, but the whole legal situation with the Florida governor and stuff basically put like a massive, great big stop on all development, all programming. Everything just got put on hold, I think, for years because of that. Last of the pre-done questions. Matt says, what do you think of Marvel not having a Hall H presentation at San Diego Comic-Con? I think is a good idea. They haven't got anything to say. Don't say it. Right, so I'm just going to carry on with some of the live pre ones. So if you've got any more questions, feel free to put the last of them in, because we're getting close to that hour. Babak says, I think Disney needs to create an an all turn off Hulu button, since it makes people to block it out if they don't want to see it. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing. But at the same time, I don't know. I think the parental controls are probably there. That'll be the best thing. Keenan says, I did notice that schools were open in the UK in early July when I was coming back from Norway cruise, and the UK was, yeah. Our kids don't break up till like the 15th or 20th of July, and then they go back to school like usually the first week, or they go back the first week of September, and then they'll stay at school then till the week before Halloween. They'll have a week off for Halloween. They don't. They tend to have Halloween off, but there's a general thing of they want kids in school for like fireworks night, and then they'll run then through till Christmas and have a couple of weeks off for Christmas, and they'll run through to February, have a week off there, and then February then through to Easter, a couple of weeks off there, and then Easter. So we tend to break it up into smaller chunks. Matt Babatronic says, do you think that Max is removed from the Discovery content 2 years after making Max? What data do they do this to determine? I think they probably realized people on Max weren't watching Discovery, and I have a sneaky suspicion that Warner Brothers is going to do, they're going to turn their stuff into a bundle. They're going to do the anti-Disney, where you're going to have CNN Plus and like sports and Max and or Bleacher Report, and like they're going to do like a bundle of 5 or 6 streaming services to make it look like they've got more content than they actually have. Matt says, go back to your weekly podcast you did in the past with James. Unfortunately, James couldn't do it anymore, and also since then, it was, I enjoyed doing it. I have thought many a times about relaunching it and stuff, but it comes to time. One of the reasons why I shifted the format to the daily kind of version was that it was something I can control myself. What you might not have realized was I used to record that at 6 o'clock in the morning we used to record it in a tin box little storage room at my cafe that I used to have at the time. So we used to record at 6 o'clock because of time differences and stuff and having to work. But yeah, I have thought about it, but whether or not we ever, I don't know. It's again, a lot of the problems with having co-hosts obviously is scheduling, doing all that. And so I kind of worked out a system where I can just do everything kind of on my own, and it's a lot easier. Like literally just before now, I just recorded tomorrow's video because I've got work to do tomorrow that I need to do, and it's just easier to kind of roll it around. Matt says, do you think streaming shows need to have film seasons back to back rather than waiting to see how each season does? 2 years between seasons is too long and risk losing viewer interest. I think it's more about they are obviously investing in what they think is going to work and what isn't. I mean, you kind of think back to the days of when they used to make like 20, 22 episode seasons, that was what would essentially now be like a 3-season run. I would like them to kind of go like, right, okay, we're going to make 3 seasons of a show. We're going to have a story and we're going to roll with it and just get them out and give the show chance to breathe and to get, but it is very much a hits based thing. If a show doesn't do well, then look, they want to spend that money somewhere else. Matt says, do you think Disney Plus will launching any new countries this year? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to get too much into it. Barbara says, do you think ESPN will come out in September? I think it'll be August because of the NFL season. Matt says, did you enjoy the Doctor Who season 2? Yes. I thought season 2 was much better than season 1. I thought Shooting Out Oil was fantastic, but you'll have to tune in tomorrow because I've got a 9-minute video all about me just ranting and talking positively about Doctor Who. Kayla says, going off target, as we heard, R-Truth is leaving WWE. What's up? Many fans have sent him support and love, but some have sent death threats to TKO. And how does this help? I think people are crazy. I just think people are absolutely crazy. At the end of the day, he wasn't released. His contract is coming to an end, and they've decided not to renew it. He's 53 years old. That's very old for a wrestler. The use of him has probably, the novelty has worn off. Can they use him? Could they give that spot to somebody else? He's had his chance. He's had his time. He's just had a major big send-off with John Cena. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they do a Legends deal or do something with him. But yeah, I think maybe the idea was that he was going to get maybe he thought he was going to get one because he's just had all this attention, but he's a novelty act and he's done a fantastic job. But at the end of the day, he's not been released. His contract is just not going to be renewed. So they're not letting him go. They're just getting to the end of the contract and go, look, maybe they don't think he's worth as much as he used to be. I don't know. Miles says, I'm looking forward to watching How to Train Your Dragon, releasing on June 9th in cinema. Since it was filmed in Northern Ireland. Hope so. I hope so. I'm not going to lie. I've seen the first movie, the animated one. I don't really have a huge connection to it. I'll wait till it drops on Netflix or something like that. Miles says, are you looking forward to the new Doctor Who spin-off, the War Between the Land and the Sea? It looks okay. I'm going to give it a go. I'll definitely give it a go. It doesn't say to me, this doesn't look amazing. So I don't think the trailer did a great job of being like, this is Doctor Who without Doctor Who. I don't know. Torchwood was great, so I've got high hopes. It could be really good. As I said before, the internet wrestling community needs a bad guy. Back then, Vince was the bad guy. Now it's TKO and Vince. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. And also, again, like I said earlier, there is a lot of wrestling social media posts and people stirring crap up just to get you to react to it so they make more money. And as Eric Bishop once says, where there's controversy, there's cash. I still live by that. So there we go. So that is the end of today's show. Big thank you to everyone for joining in. Check back next week for another live show, and obviously check out throughout the week during Monday to Friday for little news articles that will be available on YouTube, but also on podcast services. Big thank you to everyone for watching. Big thank you to Miles and Matt for your super chats. Thank you so much. Big thank you to everyone for joining in, including we've got Matt, we've got the other Matt, we've got Caleb, Babak, Bubba Trolling, Sosuna, Miles, make sure I don't miss anybody. Actually, I think if I use the community leaderboard, well done to Miles. You're in first place, 150 points. So big thank you to everyone. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. And may the force be with you. Laters. Tally ho.